Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 89th episode, I think. Is it? Yes, it would be, wouldn't
Where
it?
am I, please?
Of the Poorly Planned Podcast. My name is Benedict. You may know me better as BHL Hudson. Here we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me as always...
There's no sense whatsoever.
I mean, that's very accurate. With me as always is my friend, co-host, and freshly vaccinated buddy. Get in, lads.
COVID ain't got nothing on this guy.
So Freddie has gotten his first COVID vaccine, which I know some of you may be thinking that's rather late, but our vaccination rolling out plan was a little slower here in Denmark, but it's now happening.
So don't judge.
Yeah, it's not because I'm an anti-vaxxer.
Please.
So yeah, Freddie, you got the first shot on the way to...
I did.
I was about to say immortality. Which, and
imminent immortality. That's what I'm going for with all these vaccinations.
And I believe I'm getting mine pretty soon as well. So as I say at the top of the show, get in, lads. Now, for today's show,
God,
we're gonna be doing... I mean, should we hit some mini reviews? Because I only have two, but I don't...
I mean, we can if you want. I've got a few.
Well,
or do we want to save it for a large mini review episode?
I think the only thing we should talk about, because it's like kind of time, like no one will care in a week. Very quickly, let's talk about Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, real quick.
Oh right, yes.
just for the fun of it, just for the true Geordie of it. What did you think overall?
I mean, in fairness, I haven't seen the full fight. Like, I've seen the, extended highlights. But, I mean, I'm impressed that he did all 8 rounds, but a lot of people are saying it was staged. That Floyd, held him up, so I don't know what the deal is
that's there. The dumb... Okay. We'll get to that. That's the dumbest thing I've seen, on Twitter, was that apparently Logan Paul got knocked out and then Floyd Mayweather carried him back to consciousness.
I was like,
which I'm like,
even if they wanted to do that, they could not pull that off seamlessly.
Well, yeah. Have you seen a fight before? That's not how people get knocked. You don't get knocked out and keep moving a bit and then lay on someone. He was laying on him the whole fight. Yeah. That was his clinch was his strategy. I think that's the funniest thing ever. Also, I love how they were he did it so they'd get paid more. It's do you think people get paid more the longer a fight goes? Do you think a fight is per minute?
Every second he gets another $1,000.
It's the dumbest thing in the world. I don't know. That made me laugh pretty hard. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a spectacular fight. It was just kind of, as I sort of thought it'd be, it was just kind of interesting to see. So weird to see them there.
Yeah, but I mean, credit to the Paul.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he took I gave him 2 rounds, so he took 2 rounds off Floyd. I mean, obviously Floyd was kind of in first gear, sort of just figuring him out.
He wasn't really giving it his all throughout the entire fight, I don't think.
Yeah, and basically Logan won the first 2, and then Floyd just beat the shit out of him for 6 rounds. But I mean, he never went down. He never got hurt. He just kind of was getting punched a lot in the face. Which I mean, credit to him. Yeah, he stayed in there, and it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rewatch it. It was kind of a meh, just fighting wise, but. Credit to him.
It's more the whole idea of it that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I know it's a joke and a clown show, and especially for boxing, it's not a great thing. But I will say, just as YouTube lads, whatever you may say about Logan Paul, the fact that he went from making YouTube videos, starting just like us lads, to this,
a Viner. Yeah, who knows? In 10 years, this might be us.
We might fight Mayweather. I mean, also Mayweather definitely
each other.
Look at that would sell hella pay-per-views. He did look definitely a little older and slower, but I also want to say the commentary was the worst thing I've ever heard. It was the cringiest. Okay, I don't know who was doing the commentary.
It was genuinely so terrible.
It was they were trying so hard to sound young, and it was and make literally every 2 seconds they were trying to make a joke, and they sounded like they were 80 years old. They're Logan's so sweaty, he looks like he just made a TikTok. Am I right? And I'm like, oh my god. And he's at the side
shut this fight up.
This fight has already gone more than 6 seconds, which is how Logan started his career in 6 seconds on Vine. And it was every 3. I was I know you guys hate Logan Paul and you love Floyd Mayweather because you're boxing guys.
Boxing bros.
And that's fair, but I do, and I know it's a bit of a joking event, but like I do feel like the commentator shouldn't actively be insulting one of the like competitors the entire fight, like not just like a bit, like the whole thing. They only were being like, look at this fucking idiot, and like to some extent that's fair, but I'm just like, god damn, like chill. And they were just so unfunny. It was just it was so hard to listen to. But
were they upset that Floyd didn't knock him out cold?
Yeah, well, they kept saying like, oh yeah, Floyd's gonna knock him out. Like it was actually kind of funny they also showed a replay of Logan landing like a pretty solid like overhand or hook or something, and they were like, oh, I guess he landed, like you could tell that they sounded like resentful and like I don't know.
Damn it, they did not want him to land that shot.
It was just but whatever, good on them. And they made tons of money and whatever. It was kind of it was a fun build up and spectacle and whatever. So good on them, I guess. Well, now on to
good job, guys.
You have my approval, Logan. On to the topic for today. We are going, in fact, to be talking about the Indiana Jones film series, all 4 of the films, because
God damn.
The past
also,
week
there's a little bit of lag right now. So like on one of the screens, you're completely frozen.
Oh, yeah, so for some reason we have 2 screens going right now. It's a long story. We're not going to get into it.
Can you hear me?
Oh, and he's gone. He's gone, and the podcast is ruined. Hello? Frederick?
Oh, God.
Frederick. So we're talking about the Indiana Jones films because this past week I was at a little summer house thing, and we decided to marathon the Indiana Jones films. I only ended up watching 2 of them.
What a marathon you've put yourself through.
No, because they watched the other 2, but I was doing other stuff, but yeah, so anyway, it refreshed my memory a bit, and I thought, why not? Because also we didn't have a topic for today, and I need to throw something together, so I texted Freddie. I was like, hey, you want to talk about the Rocky movies or the Indiana Jones movies? And you were like, I'm fine with it.
And I was like, so. I don't really care.
Our podcast sucks. So yeah, I mean, overall, these first 3 are 3 of my, especially the first and the third are 2 of my favorite movies ever. The second one, very enjoyable despite some very apparent flaws. But yeah, I'm a big Indiana Jones fan since I was a kid.
And the 4th one, let's talk about the masterpiece that is the 4th Indiana Jones one.
God. The marathon was the first 3, and then one of the guys there was like, how about we watch the 4th? And I was like, nah,
I'm leaving.
Let's not. I'll burn down this.
And that's why I'm home. They're all still at the summer house.
Yeah, this was yesterday. God. I think we ended up watching Pitch Perfect instead, which is, you can see where my influence came in.
That's a bit of a step up, yeah. Well, so I must admit, I do not have the same nostalgia or love or at all enjoyment of these films that you do. But they're still interesting. I remember the first and the one with Sean Connery.
Yes. Junior!
Junior, what are you doing?
Spoilers for all these films. All right, cool. So, let's start off with Raiders of the Lost Ark. One of the most iconic films of all time. Harrison Ford in his prime, if you don't mind me saying so, Harrison. Steven Spielberg in his prime as well. Because let's be honest,
Harrison's in there. He thinks he's in his prime now.
He hasn't hit his prime yet. Also, Spielberg in his prime, because let's be real, the BFG certainly not his prime. This was Spielberg at his best.
What's wrong with the BFG?
I'll take every chance I can get to hate on the BFG. I like it's a completely fine movie, but my God, what a forgettable thing. First of all, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, aka Henry Jones Jr. That's his actual name. Big fact. Perfect casting. If you need a handsome, charismatic adventurer, like there isn't, especially in this first one, there isn't much to his character, like in terms of emotional depth.
No.
But you need like that leading man, like iconic movie protagonist.
Yeah, he's a likable hero who can do it all.
And he's handsome, which is a requirement for Indiana.
I don't know why the connection's just so trash. What's happened here? Should I try and hotspot it? Do you think?
Maybe. Might be a bit of a shout,
Bit of a shout, Alright, let's see here.
That's a shout,
That's a bit of a shout,
This is all definitely going in the pod. This is just what our conversations are off pod, by the way. Just us going, that's a shout, Just back and forth.
That's a shout, All right.
This first one, it's the epitome of a fun adventure film. You know, I love a fun adventure, a fun romp through beating up Nazis. And also just great villains in the Nazis. Great as in they are very, hateable and bad. The guy with the black bowler hat and like the glasses, he's pretty creepy.
Oh, the guy who melts at the end?
I mean, they all melt at the end, but yeah. He reminds me of this guy we used to know at school who we both really didn't like. I'm not going to say any names, but you know who you are.
Say it and bleep it.
Totally. He looks exactly like him, does he not?
I don't even remember what that guy looks like, and yet it shines through my head beautifully.
And I love upon the rewatch, I hadn't really remembered much about Belloc, the Frenchman, who is the prime antagonist of the film. And
I've got no clue who that is.
He's like, "Ooh, Dr. Jones, I take your victory again."
Is he like the other archaeologist?
Yeah, and he always shows up right after Indy does all the crazy dumb shit, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm here to just pick up the thing," and then he gets his face melted at the end.
He's the vulture of the Indiana Jones universe.
He is the Keaton of the Harrison life. Also, by the way, spoilers for all these films. I should have said that up top. Put that in. Spoilers for all these films. All right, cool. But he's kind of a fun villain because he's also, you have the Nazis who are completely evil, like completely evil, and then you have him who has a little bit more.
Who's just a bit of a scoundrel.
Well, yeah, he has a bit more layer to him. Like he's working with the Nazis, even though he doesn't like agree with them, and he has this like thing going with Marion for a bit. There's a bit more to that character than I'd initially remembered, which is interesting. Plus, he has great hats throughout. At least
you're very taken by all the hats in this universe.
Well, Indy's hat is, the outfit, iconic.
Indiana's hat is not bad.
It's the only time a fedora has ever looked cool. No offense to any of our listeners who wear fedoras.
I've got a fedora.
I actually also have a fedora. We both have fedoras. God, that is the lamest thing that we both were like, oh yeah, fedoras only look cool in this. By the way, here's my fedora collection right over here.
By the way, do you want to see me in my fedora?
It has, spectacular action that's absolutely held up because so much of it is practical. Like the stunt work, like the part where he shimmies under the car. Some dude actually had to do that. Not Harrison, obviously, but I mean, I think Harrison did
Harrison
some
could
stunts.
never.
But yeah, like some
stuntman
actually had to do that. Yeah, so that's pretty.
The one stunt Indiana Jones did, or Harrison did, was when he just shot the dude.
Yeah, yeah. It has so many good moments. It's very funny too. It's just Harrison's got the one-liners. The Belloc is like, "Where shall I find my next equal?" And he's like, "Try the local sewer, you French f***." I added the French part, but it's still pretty good.
I added the sewer.
He just looks at him, "You French f***."
So where else is my next opponent? You absolute moronic fool.
They're having like an intellectual debate. He just goes, "Fuck you, I fucking hate you."
You're the worst person, you know that?
He just breaks down in tears.
I really don't like you very much.
I mean, what do you remember about this? Because I've just seen it, so it's all fresh in my mind.
Literally very, very little. I remember he gets chased by a boulder.
He does. I mean, that's a pretty good scene. Alfred Molina gets stabbed in the face at the beginning. Doc Ock.
Who's Alfred? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is that Alfred Molina?
Yeah.
Damn.
There are a lot of like, not that I would ever or have ever or will ever play like a drinking game associated with the film, but if I were to ever, there are a lot of like recurring tropes in the film, like people yelling "Indy" all the time. Indiana Jones being betrayed happens like 8 times in the film, which is like kind of at a certain point. I feel like you should stop trusting people.
At a certain point, I just get too drunk.
Let's see. I like Salah, his friend. He's a cool dude in Egypt. His bro who's like, "Indy."
Another shot. I remember quite a little.
He beats up a
he
big
looks away.
German, and his head gets cut off by a propeller.
I thought you were gonna say gorilla just then. Genuinely.
That dude just randomly dropped in the middle of just a really intense boxing fight with George.
Very technical. They both have great form.
It's better than Mayweather Paul. It would not be
not
hard to
difficult.
Do. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember much. It's not the greatest back and forth you're gonna get here. I'll be like, "Indy, drink."
All right, I'll throw something out there, and then you just you react accordingly. I mean, it's a very, for a kid's film. And all my friends, they were like, this totally isn't a kid's film. I'm like, I think this was like rated G or something in the 80s. Like,
well, is this a kid's film?
I watched it as a kid. I think it's not like a baby film.
But you were a messed up kid.
But like, it's meant for, like, the same way like 10-year-olds can watch, the Avengers and stuff. Like, I think like 10-year-olds are, it's not like made for 10-year-olds, but it's sort of a fun kind of thing. And I also, it does have horrific things in it, like face melting Nazis.
Apart from, I think that the age, like, identification thing, where, like, what's okay to watch, has been, like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was... When was it? Like, the 1980s this came out?
Yeah. So, it's definitely...
Yeah, so, like, things have changed since then.
No, yeah, stuff like, I don't know, like, Jaws was rated G or something, I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, his relationship with Marion is also, kind of fun. It's a bit... there's not much, depth to it, and it's also either implied or flat out said that he got with her when she was 16, which, hasn't aged super well. But
was he
they have some sweet moments.
Professor?
No, so he was friends with her dad, who was a professor. And then also, and then he shows up and she's like after he, like, presumably ruined part of her, like, youth, and then he shows up and she's like, yeah, also my dad died, by the way. And he's like, oh, you're so dramatic. Just give me the information. Like, it's very,
Indy does not have time for this bullshit.
Like, yeah, Harrison, it's because it's like an 80s over-the-top adventure movie. Yeah. It's Harrison Ford and everything, but it's just...
Oh, you're going through severe family trauma?
Yeah, it is, some of it hasn't aged well, which we'll also get to with Temple of Doom. But, it is a movie. It's a fun adventure thing. I don't know, indie. A fantastic, fun film, just absolute blast from start to finish. And then we get to Temple of Doom, which is definitely worse, but still very enjoyable for me. The company that I had did not enjoy it very much. Well, not that they didn't enjoy watching it, but they were like, yeah, that was a terrible movie. And I was like, come on, it was, it's a shout,
I can imagine you genuinely saying that. There's something like, God, that was really, really bad. That was a poor movie. It's a shout.
They all start applauding.
They all immediately love it. God, he's so right.
He has a way with words, that guy. Okay, so, I mean, what the problems with it, it's way sillier and goofier and weirder than the first one. Like, the first one is like...
If that's even possible.
The first one has its goofy moments and elements to it, and, like, some fantastical elements. But this one, it goes so... there was stuff in it that I didn't even remember happened. Like, Indiana Jones gets possessed by, like, the evil villains at one point and smacks Short Round. And he just backhands the out of Short Round. I was like, Jesus, I forgot about this.
Who's Short Round?
The Short Round, his little friend. The kid. Remember, he has, like, a kid, like, in Shanghai, the little Asian kid.
He has an Asian kid stringing along him, and he calls him Short Round.
He definitely puts this kid in tons of danger. Literally, the first time we see him, he forces Short Round to drive him around the city. I mean, he doesn't force him, but he's like, step on it, Short Round, and then Short Round is like 8-year-old is just driving.
I thought it was just like a leisure trip, and Indy's just sitting back, legs up on the dashboard.
Step on it, Short Round.
Step on it, Short Round. I need to get to my appointment.
Oh gosh, no. You really don't know Short Round, iconic character.
I don't even think I've seen this movie.
What? Oh, well,
Short Round, iconic.
We're gonna have a blast with this then, because then, oh my God, there's so much in this. It features possibly the most annoying character in movie history. Short Round. Willie Scott, who is the female love interest in this one. She's basically meant to be like this extremely stupid, loud, annoying character, which she is, and it is effectively annoying. Like,
okay,
that's all I can really, like, she's always screaming, she's always falling over something, she's always like, I don't want to touch the spiders, I hate the spiders, while Indiana Jones getting like impaled by a spike, and Short Round is just like crying in the corner.
I feel so bad for Short Round.
Dude, Short Round gets whipped in this. They literally tie him to a post and whip this like 8-year-old. It's such a dark movie when like you go back to it. They rip people's hearts out and throw them into like fire.
Can I just go back to 5 minutes? This movie is so goofy.
It is, but it's also, yeah, it's a weird
the goofiest moment.
Yuck. It's a weirdest mix of like extremely dark stuff for this kind of film.
Extreme brutality to just short round dancing.
And then extreme goofiness. But okay, let's start at the top. Basically, this film's plot is so India. It takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Okay.
So Indy is in Shanghai doing a deal with some guys who poison him, and it's all a big adventure at this party. Great scene, by the way. He does also impale one of the bodyguards with a flaming, like, kebab stick. It's kind of epic.
Okay.
But that scene is kind of epic, but it kind of epitomizes the ridiculousness of the film where, like, you know, he's running behind this giant gong while a guy's shooting at it, and he jumps out of a window, and then Short Round is driving the car. It's like, it's much goofier in tone, in that scene at least, than the previous film. And then their plane crashes for various reasons, and they end up in India.
The main reason being Short Round.
The main reason being India was like, yeah, Short Round, fly this plane. I mean, also, again, on the ridiculousness, they survive falling out of a plane by sitting in a little, like, gummy boat, like, and then just hit the side of, like, a mountain, and they don't splatter immediately. And then they end up in this village, and they're like, please save all of our children. They become child slaves, which, again, they're darkness, like, there comes the very much darkness.
Which, again, Short Round knows a lot about, it seems.
He becomes one of them in the end. And then,
in the end? Is that how it ends? Indiana hands off Short Round and just waltzes back into town, looking for a new boy to drive his car?
Like, I can imagine the Indiana Jones theme triumphantly playing, and he's like, you know what?
Short Round is getting dragged away, just screaming.
Bum ba bum. Bum ba bum bum. And he smiles to camera. God. This has gotten really
and
dark.
You wondered why Short Round wasn't in the first movie.
This has gotten very dark, but I have to say, this is more of a commentary on how Indiana Jones very much just endangers this child the whole movie, more than anything. There's some racism in there, which, again, has not aged well. Like, the Indian royalty, they have this banquet, and they eat pregnant snakes and monkey brains, which, you know, not great.
Classic Indian food.
Yeah, not a shout, you know, Spielberg, but...
Yeah.
And then they go and they discover this evil cult and who rip people's hearts out and then make Indiana Jones their, like, mind-controlled leader, and then he whips Short Round. Oh, no, they whip Short Round, and then Indiana Jones punches Short Round.
Indiana Jones punches Short Round?
Well, he backhands him, but he's being mind-controlled, so... There's also some wonderful Harrison flirting with Willie Scott, which, I mean, you know, Harrison is a very... charming, you know, handsome dude. But when you're watching this in a summer house where you're already kind of like, you know, when you're watching with friends, you're kind of poking fun at the movie anyway. And so, he has a great, like, they're doing this thing where he's like, they're comparing, like, sex to, like, science. He's like, well, you know, I'm a scientist, you know, that's a bit of a shout, you know. And then
okay, I can definitely see this carrying out, yeah.
And then he's like, you know, I have years of experience in the field. And it's like, Jesus, Harrison. Chill. Yeah.
Why is the field Harrison of perving out?
Well, because they're both.
This movie sounds so messed up from the way you're describing it.
It's so bizarre, and it, like, I mean, also it's kind of funny because, and I guess it's like, not every movie has to have, like, the Marion love interest, but it's kind of funny because the first film has this, you know, again, we said potentially a little messed up relationship, but, you know, there's some true feelings there. Where in this one, it's literally just like they're both just kind of like, like. You're kind of hot. So
I like you.
Let's get it on. I mean, they do have a couple of fun moments with that, but then in the end, yeah, it also doesn't really. When they kiss, it's like, okay, like, fine, like,
great. I feel nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, okay, that's expected. Like, it doesn't really mean anything for any of the characters. That's a great finale, though. Him chopping a bridge down, and then all the men fall to crocodiles, and then they climb a bridge, and then they beat up a guy or something. I don't know. Okay. It's not
like a wooden, like, bridge over, like, a ravine or something.
Yeah, and so he's like holding the sword, and he's like, and then he chops the bridge. Pretty good moment, not gonna lie.
Okay.
Seems like a pretty expensive film, to be fair. Like, there are a lot of, like, cool locations, and, like, it does check a lot of the Indiana Jones boxes, and that's the last thing I'll say. Action-wise, this one might be even better than the first, because there's some fucking great action here. There's one scene where Indy is getting voodoo dolled, like he's getting like stabbed with a voodoo doll, and he has to beat up this like big guy on a conveyor belt. And in the end, short round.
Whilst he's getting stabbed.
Yeah, it's Indy gets the shit beat out of him in this movie, and then in the end, the villain guy gets like munched up by this conveyor belt going into like this rock crusher. Oh, it's excellent stuff. So, well, not really. So the movie, it's way cheesier and goofier, and also weirdly dark than the first one. And it's like it's such a strange film. I still very much enjoyed it. It's a fun adventure thing, but it's definitely not on like. It's fun to watch, but it's not like the genuine quality of 1 and 3, you know? And then we have the Last Crusade, which does feature Sean Connery.
Wait, can I just ask, so, what happens to Short Round in between the second and the first movie?
Never mention again. So, a little bit concerning. So, Indy's like, oh yeah, like I found him on the streets and like he tried to pickpocket me. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take you in, kid, and I'm gonna show you how to drive cars when you're 8 years old and endanger your life like forever. You know, maybe he'll be in the new one. Maybe the thing is also that just speaks like how long ago these films were. Where Short Round, the like 8-year-old character, he would be 50
would literally
if they made
50 years old
if he showed up in the movie now. Like anyway, The Last Crusade, where Sean Connery shows up.
Sean Connery
Jr. Wait.
Georgia!
Our situation has not improved.
I've eliminated no suspects.
Now that is Huey. It doesn't even sound remotely like
Sean Connery. Now that is Huey.
He's fantastic. This genuinely, I think, is my favorite Sean Connery performance ever. He's amazing in this. Because he's so good at being like...
the dad?
Yeah. So good at that acting thing that he does, you know? Yeah, he's so good at being like, you can see where Indiana Jones would get his like adventure-y kind of sense from, but also so much like, or like his like love for like ancient artifacts and that kind of thing, but then also so much more stern, and like the way he just, because Indiana is like the coolest of dudes, you know, and then the way he just like, he's having a fun time, and then he looks at his dad, and his dad is just like giving him a bit of a scowl, and then he's like, like you can, Connery pulls it off so well, and then just,
it's a good father-son dynamic.
Yeah, and this is the most emotional of the ones, because, like, not that there's anything, like, extremely emotional in here, but the father-son relationship growing is actually done extremely well, and is, like, the one kind of big character arc sort of thing that I remember actually being quite effective in these, otherwise, like, you know, fun adventure films.
Yeah.
Whew. Do you remember anything about this film?
I remember that Sean Connery wears, like, doesn't he wear a archaeologist hat that looks like a bit of like a turtle shell throughout most of it?
That's a fact.
They're on 2 cars that drive. There's like an action scene.
Yes.
I think where his dad's driving. I think. God, this is like talking to a very, very stupid kid.
Yeah. I mean, his dad's in a tank at one point, not driving it, but like captured in a tank. And then,
okay.
And I also...
No, I don't remember much of it, I must admit.
Okay, well, so they're looking for the Holy Grail, basically. And his dad's been captured by it. They brought the Nazis back, which is, you know, again, a reliable, hateable villain.
Yeah, can't really go wrong with hating the Nazis.
No.
Unless you're a messed up dude.
Indiana Jones, he gets seduced by a, like, sexy Nazi woman. And he's like...
Okay.
Yeah, and...
What a relatable moment, eh?
Feel when you get seduced by a sexy Nazi lady. And it's also implied and or flat out said that she also seduced and had sexual relations with his dad, which is, you know...
What?
Yeah, because Sean, he says something where he's like, I don't know. Sean does a little, like, innuendo kind of thing where she says something, he's like, you can say that again, kind of like... It's like, I don't know. So you can imagine Sean just nuttering it up. But they have a great dynamic. It was a really good addition. I also love how in this one Indiana Jones brings along, or he doesn't bring along. I think he does somehow rope in like his friend from the university, who's like this 60-year-old like professor who has no idea about anything, who just ends up like having to like fight Nazis and jump in a tank and stuff. And it's like, Indy, you could have left him at home a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I love the variety of locations in this one. It's a bit more like I don't know, they go to Italy, they have that boat chase. And they go to the desert, and they go to this like haunted it's not haunted, but it's like a Nazi castle. They go on a blimp. You've seen the blimp scene.
Probably.
You've seen the part where...
I've seen this movie, but I don't remember it.
Well, you've seen the part where Indiana Jones, he dresses up as like a ticket officer, and he's like, do you have your tickets? And the Nazi's like, hey, wait a minute, you're Indiana Jones. And he punches him out of the blimp, and then he's like, no ticket. And then everyone on the blimp is like, oh, I got my ticket.
I must admit, I don't remember. Not at all.
This is going to be a great podcast, just me naming things that happen, you going, I guess.
Okay. Cool story, bro. What about Marion? Is she in this?
No, the love interest kind of is the Nazi lady. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is she like conflicted? She doesn't actually want to be a Nazi?
No, she's pretty hardcore Nazi from memory.
Okay, well that's certainly not good of Indiana then.
No, I mean Indiana doesn't. Indiana doesn't know.
Yeah, my love interest in this movie is a hardcore Nazi woman.
He doesn't.
Who did my dad?
He doesn't know when he's getting all flirtatious Indiana on her, and then later on.
Does she know?
I think he. Sorry.
Does she know that she's sleeping with the enemy?
Yes, no, that's the point. She's like seducing him and like getting him off his guard so she can betray him. Again, yeah, Indiana Jones getting betrayed is kind of a thing that happens quite often. And then also, yeah, at the end, then I think he does kind of. I don't know. I mean, I was gonna say he's like sees some good in her, but also it could just be Indy being kind of a bit of a horn dog, as is also a theme throughout these films. Because at the end, he's like trying to save her, and then she's like, "I can reach the Holy Grail," and then it's the whole lesson of like, you shouldn't reach because she's like, "I can just barely touch," and he's like, "Just let it go," and then she falls because she's too greedy, and then Indiana's about to do the same, and Sean Connery's like, "Let it go, Indiana," and it's like, "Oh, Sean," and the music comes in. It's a very good moment. And they ride off into the sunset.
So they did all of that for nothing then?
Yeah, because the Grail is not meant to be... well, I think the whole point was they were trying to stop the Nazis, and also then they had to save Sean Connery at the end by giving him the Holy Grail. Because then you can't take the Holy Grail out of the Holy Grail house, because then the house will collapse. But that's also a running theme of, like, you shouldn't fuck with these, like, spiritual artifacts and stuff.
Artifacts.
Like the Ark of the Covenant and all that.
Well, what kind of archaeologist is he? Because he just seems more like a grave robber.
Well, I mean, the next one he literally robs
a tomb raider.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going out there to get like artifacts for his museum and then also beat up Nazis, I guess. Pretty sure this is not what an actual archaeologist does. I'm pretty sure it's a lot more research.
Wow.
But you never know. I've never met an
archaeologist. I doubt it. Maybe in the 80s.
There's also two important moments from this. One, we get Indiana Jones as a kid at the start. Do you remember that?
Okay.
We get an Indy origin.
Nope.
He's on a
I do remember a young Indy
train, and he falls into a snake pit, which is like, oh, that's why he hates snakes, and he cracks his chin, which is why it explains the Harrison Ford famous chin scar. No, none of this. No. Well, then,
it doesn't ring any bell, but very interesting.
Well, you must remember Indiana Jones literally meeting Hitler in this movie. That happens. It's a very fun moment. Anyway, I love that film. It's super fun. Just a great time. Good action as well. And then we've come horribly. I think probably the one you remember the most from.
I haven't seen this one, but I know a lot of. I mean, I say a lot. I know very few things about all of these, but I probably know most about this one.
It's been a great podcast. It's been a lot of me just rambling hysterically, and then you just going like, oh yeah, no, that's nice.
Nice.
So this one is set in the 60s. It's Old Man Jones, as opposed to the new one, which will be even Older Man Jones. And he's fighting the Russians, because, 60s. Or maybe it was the 50s. I don't know. Yeah, it was the 50s. No, it was the 70s.
No, it was 2040 actually.
So this one they introduced aliens, which is a bit out of left field because the other films have a lot of kind of like mystical,
supernatural things,
supernatural, spiritual elements to them, but they're always more rooted in like religion and like spirituality, and to take it to literal aliens is a little bit of a weird direction. They wanted to make it like a sci-fi B movie kind of vibe, and I'm like, why would you do that to Indiana?
Yeah.
There are a lot of problems with this film.
It doesn't seem like the greatest. As you said, it's a very hard left turn from what the normal recipe was. Yeah.
So okay, let's start off with good things, if I can think of any. There's a scene where the greasers, I believe they're called, like the guys with the leather jackets, fight like the nerds or something. That's kind of fun.
Okay.
It lasts about like 10 seconds, but it's a pretty good time. There's a pretty brutal ant death for one of the Russians where ants consume his entire body and like go in his eyes and his nose and stuff, and it's like
lovely.
It's very, because all the Indiana Jones films have to have something super brutal. We forgot to mention the last one also, a dude drinks from the wrong Holy Grail thing, and then he becomes a skeleton. It's pretty gross. So nice. I like them continuing the tradition here. Indy gets a happy ending, which is nice, I guess. He marries Marion.
Okay, I see.
You were thinking of
No,
you
no.
motherfucker. Why would you go there?
I don't know. You said it with such gusto. I was like, he couldn't mean that seriously.
God, you've been corrupted by just life. He has a happy finish to his tale. That also doesn't sound great. This podcast has just become so much
He completes his day.
Oh my god. I love how at one point I said this was a family-friendly show, which has clearly gone completely out the window.
Sorry. Anyways.
Yeah, he
has a happy ending.
He marries Marion. That's about all I can think of that I enjoy.
Oh, so Marion's back now.
Yeah, so they kind of like tied it all back together, and he has a son with Marion who is Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, Shia LaBeouf's performance. He doesn't give he's not bad at like acting in it. It's just his character and like is just like kind of a like whiny dweeb from what I remember. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's not as
how do we be nice about this? He's a whiny dweeb loser.
And then there's the crystal skull, and then aliens show up at the end and burn out the Russian lady's eyes and then take off in a rocket ship. And then Indiana was like, well, that was fucking weird. Anyway, let's get married. So that's how that
Isn't he a little old to get married? I thought, is he not married to Marion?
He gets married at the end of this.
So is this, do they like meet up again after a long time in this movie or what?
Yes, yeah. They're like reunited. To be honest, I don't really want to see even older Indiana Jones. And I don't really want to see a Logan-esque like old man like kind of going through like tribulations through his life, and like the government is like, hey, you have to answer for all your crimes, or like something like really grim. Like Indiana Jones is such a fun, like I guess it could be like a good film, but just now that I'm talking about them and I've seen them recently, it was so fun and exciting, and like I feel like it would really like Logan is already kind of a tragic character, like Indiana Jones has always been like fun and exciting.
You want a tragic end.
It's like seeing your dad have to like go through like a Logan-esque story. Like it's not fun,
I'm thinking it could be good if it was like because Mads Mikkelsen's gonna be in this, right?
He is, which I'm excited for.
Is he gonna be the villain, or is he gonna be like?
Yeah, the rumor is he's gonna be the villain.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it would be cool if someone was like, "Oh, we need to revisit maybe one of the places they've been before, and we need your expertise." And then Harrison's like, "Oh, I'm old, but all right." And then he goes along, and then
Yeah.
And then Mads Mikkelsen appears, and it all goes to
shoots him in the back of the head. Just first scene of the film. The whole movie's them dragging his corpse across like a desert.
God. Very dark.
Yeah.
I don't want a tragic end for this character.
Just a 2-hour film of just. I feel like there's no winning with this film. Like, I don't want to see old man Indiana Jones doing like a fun adventure, but I don't really want to see him go through like a depressing.
Why don't you want to see him do a fun adventure?
Because the one that they made 11 years ago was kind of like weird and like it doesn't really fit, like no offense Harrison, but it felt a little like, I don't know, sad almost, So now like 12 years later, I don't want to see another version of that. No offense, Harrison.
Okay, fair.
You could just make a new, like Uncharted they're making, like just make a new Indiana Jones-esque story with a young, I don't know.
Because I'm just saying, Mads Mikkelsen could be such a good Indiana Jones.
I don't know where you got that
Am I wrong?
from. Like, you were so wrong.
I'm so right.
He's
him with that hat.
This doesn't work at all. He's too villainous and like Danish and middle-aged. No, I love you, Miss.
He's too Danish.
Yeah. I guarantee you he's gonna play like a Nazi or something, because they're gonna be like, Denmark, Germany, close enough, blah. And then it's gonna be like, it's gonna be the 60s or something, like, by the way, there's this group of like Nazis or like KKK members you have to go beat up, and then he'll be like, hell yeah. Yeah, so I don't even know what they're gonna do, but I'm interested in a Mayweather Paul-esque way. I'm interested to see what the it will like turn out to be. But
okay.
I don't know. Not the biggest of shouts, But the fourth one It's just kind of bland and weird, and it has fun moments.
He survives a fridge.
Oh, I totally forgot about the nuke blast. Yeah. Ugh.
Why? I feel like a lot of movies just completely they can just say it's a bomb, can't they?
Yeah. Why would you say
they have to put the word nuke in there and then make it so unrealistic that anyone survives the after effects as well?
Yeah, I don't understand that. And like, also, even if the fridge somehow survived, how would him? And no offense, Harrison, but in his quite elderly body, survive getting just flip-flopped around a desert in a fridge? Like, all of your bones are broken. It doesn't matter if you're elderly,
even if he survives all that, he sees a gerbil, and we all know he's allergic, so he dies.
He just sneezes, movie ends, his head explodes. So those are the Indiana Jones films, I guess. This is a very all over the place episode, but I would rank them probably 1 and 3 are equal for me, then 2, then 4.
Okay. I will rank Sean Connery as the best, and all the rest is kind of unimportant.
Fair, okay. Well, now it is, in fact, time for...
the Timecodes.
So we have kind of some unfortunate Cnews today, but one of the...
Well, isn't that every day?
Every day the Cnews continues, it's just unfortunate.
This is a tragedy.
One of the Mission Impossible 7 cast or crew members tested positive for COVID-19, which means the whole production has been postponed and shut down, which, I mean, obviously is terrible. Like, you know, someone has COVID, also a lot of people's jobs rely on that. Also the fact that, in case you couldn't tell from that recording that came out a while back, Tom Cruise would not be too pleased if the production shut down.
Yeah.
And Cian did tag us on Twitter in a video of Dr. Manhattan blowing up Rorschach saying when Tom Cruise finds the crew member that got COVID, because he was very particular about, if this shuts down, I will murder everyone involved. So
yeah.
You know, obviously it's very unfortunate, and because it does, like, obviously a lot of people's jobs, and it takes a lot to, like, get it back up and running and everything. But yeah, Cian tagging us in that video, you know, there's some comedic element to take from this, purely from Tom Cruise just throwing someone into, like, a volcano. But, you know, obviously unfortunate Tom Cruise. So hopefully...
Hope the crew is all good.
Yeah, hopefully everything gets back up and running soon. And now it's time for the announcements and such. We're going to do it today because we're recording on Tuesday. Ooh. So firstly, the comments on the previous pods. Movie Guy lets us know that an upcoming film from Netflix called Red Notice stars The Wayne, Reynolds, and Godot, and apparently Cruise is in it, but it's not fully confirmed. So, can you imagine, because I believe we talked about wanting a Reynolds-Dwayne team-up, so a Reynolds-Dwayne and potentially Cruise team-up?
That sounds almost too good to be true.
And Godot, I'm sorry I excluded you there. Big moves, big stuff. So let's...
Big smooves.
He also says next time Freddy should do the trivia, which I like the idea of. Also, it sounds sounds a little insulting. Like, you know what? Next time, let Freddy take this.
Get someone better to do it.
That was pretty trash. I do like the idea of that.
I'd be most down. So let me know. Yeah, we'll figure something out for that.
I'll let you know in advance before we do the next movie review one. GC Green leaving a lovely comment. We make the lousiest of days some of the most enjoyable. Never fail to cheer him up. Thank you, GC. And yeah, just nice comments in general. And then Pod 88. I haven't actually read these yet, but I will later. Michael Scarn saying he really enjoyed what Wrath of Man was going for. Fair enough. We did not, but respect.
Let's agree to disagree.
Respect the opinions. I'll read it's a bit of a long comment, so I'll read the rest of that later. As Anson Hartzler, I'll read this after the pod as well, but he wrote something about Mitchells versus the Machines. And Movie Guy says, do you prefer Nobody or John Wick? John Wick probably, but Nobody is still very, very good.
Yeah, we're watching that very soon.
We are. We're going to do a little repeat Woody. It's going to be very, very good.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, yeah, by the way, Anson and Michael, I will read these comments just for the record. Just we don't have much time left, so I can't read them here, but I'm not just completely ignoring you.
Also, we're 8 subscribers off hitting the...
Actually 7. Yeah, no, that'll be big stuff. So get us to 1,000 subs, please. That would be epic. That'd be about time. Right in time for 100 episodes. So that'd be nice. Then on the fan page. Oh no, wait. First, got a couple of emails from Samresh, who sent me this video. Where is it now? Where have I put it? This video of. This looks like a Discord, I think. And apparently of like I believe pod fans. And apparently there's a conspiracy going around that I am, in fact, Cian. And I make my own fan page stuff. Which,
God,
I mean...
That would be Jay the most tragic thing. And Cian wrote this and this. Good on you, Cian.
So funny, Cian. Great meme, Cian. Which also I'd find funny because a couple of people, like when the fan page first came around, asked me like, oh, do you run this? And I was like... Why would I run my own fan page? What's wrong with you? Yeah, someone here wrote, lol, BHL makes his own stuff for the pod and then acts like it's his fans. That's what Michael Scott would do. Lol. And they also say we've never seen him and Cian in the same room. So, it did amuse me quite a bit. And also, I love how this screen recording of this Discord cuts off where someone wrote, what did you guys think of BHL short film? And then I just assume the next one just says, it f***ing sucked.
Terrible.
But yeah, that made me laugh. And then stuff that Cian... to be clear, not BHL, actually posted. First, a wonderful meme, an invincible meme, where Freddy, I want to be Phil Coulson. BHL laughs hysterically. Freddy, think BHL with the invincible meme. So good. What a high-tier meme.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Then Tom Cruise is my roommate. One of the best videos ever. I believe this is from Smosh, who were like one of the first channels I ever watched on YouTube. I don't really remember this video. But, Smosh.
You wanna know something?
Oh boy, do I?
I believe it's Smosh, but I was in Bristol recently, right? And as I was out walking in Bristol, oh my God! Also something I've got to tell you. Oh. I don't know if that's pod worthy. You know what? I think I'll say it on the pod.
All right.
I might just have. So there's two cool things, and I might just have mistaken him for someone else, but I am thoroughly convinced that I saw Vidal Riley in the London airport.
What?
Like, because we were all going to an elevator, and then there's like not enough space in the elevator, and then we left Vidal behind. I'm pretty sure it was him.
When were you traveling? Because he was traveling pretty recently too. Because he went to Miami for the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul thing, I think.
Oh, did he? Well, it was.
It was 5 minutes ago.
It was right now. It was Sunday. In the morning.
Okay. Could have been. So you could have met Vidal Riley. What?
Maybe. I mean, who knows?
What a show. You should have... God, you should have asked. You should have been like, hey, what's up, Vidal?
Hey. Vidal? Vidal guard? You see this connection?
Care for a cheeky selfie, mate?
So I was like, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Damn, that's actually very cool.
And then the second thing, talking about Smosh, in Bristol, where I was as well, walked by the building where Smosh film all their stuff. There's like a Smosh building.
They're American, though.
Well, what am I thinking of then? I'm pretty sure they've got like... Wait.
Do they have like a UK... I have not watched Smosh in about like 7 years, just to be clear, but...
I might be thinking of another group, but...
I don't think they have like multiple, like worldwide...
I don't know. Well, there's certainly a...
Are you thinking of Rhett and Link?
No. God, I wish I was thinking of Rhett and Link.
Mythical Morning?
I love Good Mythical Morning.
I've never seen it.
I think you would very much enjoy it. Anyways, I'll get the info and tell you later. Okay. But I thought they said it was Smosh, but who knows?
Huh. Well, that would be quite interesting. But yeah, no, I did love Smosh, and I still watch occasional little Smosh games video just for the nostalgia, and they're pretty funny. Right. I enjoy me some Sohinki. Anyway, moving on. And then finally, he just posted the picture of the Statham fat sea animal thing, which I very much enjoyed. So yeah, thank you, Cian. The pod fan pages are linked down below. We're also on Apple Podcasts
fan pages
and Spotify, and if you're listening there, we're on YouTube where we post the pods and occasionally exclusive content. You don't want to miss it. Maybe you do. I don't know.
You don't want to miss it at all.
But check it out. It's,
the last exclusive content was...
It was Joker versus Joker, which I was quite happy with that video. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But it did some stinky views though, so that's
104 views we talking.
There is that.
That is less views than FTK Gaming has subscribers.
Now that's tragic. So thank you very much for listening. You can find me on YouTube, BHL Hudson, Instagram, Twitter, BHL_Hudson. You can email the pod at bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com.
You can find me on Twitter at FTK_DaltSniper. You can find me on YouTube at FTK Space Gaming, and you can find me on Instagram at FDalGuard.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Indiana.
Very nice, very nice.